Morning, friends. Welcome back to Beyond Prompting. I'm Banana, and I have to say, today's episode hits different. We're looking at the most comprehensive data dump I've seen all year on where AI agents actually stand in the enterprise.
Comprehensive data dump. That's my jam. What are we talking about here?
120 enterprise data points, Orange, from the Digital Applied blog, which compiled data from Gartner, McKinsey, IDC, Forrester, and a dozen other sources. And the numbers tell a story that's way more nuanced than the headlines.
Okay, hit me with the big picture first. How many enterprises actually have agents in production?
47% by end of 2025. That sounds impressive until you learn that 88% have at least one pilot running. The real story is the gap between piloting and shipping. The cross-industry pilot-to-production conversion rate is only 12%.
Wait, so 88% of companies are piloting, but only 12% of those pilots make it to production. That's an enormous gap.
Exactly. And this is where it gets interesting, because that 12% hides massive variation by industry. Banking and insurance convert at 58%. Software at 56%. These are industries with mature IT governance and clear compliance patterns. But healthcare, 33%. Government, 29%.
So it's not about the technology working or not working, it's about organizational readiness.
That's the key insight. The article makes this really clear. The production readiness gap is a maturity and governance problem, not a model quality problem. And the metric that proves it is the human in the loop rate, or HITL. That's the percentage of agent output that requires human supervision before it can be used.
And those rates vary wildly by function.
Absolutely. SDR agents, sales development reps, have the lowest HITL rate at just 8%. They're narrow scope, highly structured tasks. Research, draft an email, send. But legal and compliance, 61% HITL. More than half of what the agent produces needs a human to review it. That's a fundamentally different kind of deployment.
So the SDR agent basically runs itself, but the legal agent needs a babysitter.
That's exactly right. And it determines everything about the architecture. An agent with 8% HITL can be built as a fast, autonomous pipeline. An agent with 61% HITL needs human-in-the-loop checkpoints, audit trails, rollback mechanisms, the whole governance stack.
Which brings us to today's theme, agent architecture. What's the architectural picture emerging from this data?
Two big patterns. First, 22% of production deployments now coordinate 3 or more agents. The most common patterns are planner-executor splits. One agent decomposes the task, another carries it out. Retrieval reasoning splits. One agent fetches context, another reasons over it. And reviewer overlays. One agent produces, another critiques before human review.
And those multi-agent designs actually improve the numbers.
Significantly! BCG case studies show they reduce HITL rates by 30 to 45% compared to single-agent baselines. But, and this is the big but, they raise evaluation complexity meaningfully. The article calls this the second-order governance problem of 2026. When you have 3 agents talking to each other, how do you know which one caused the failure?
That's genuinely hard. So the architecture enables better autonomy, but at the cost of observability complexity.
Exactly. And here's another architectural data point that matters. MCP, the Model Context Protocol, has crossed 9,400 public servers as of April 2026. Enterprise and internal servers are estimated at 3 to 4 times that. MCP adoption is the leading indicator of multi-vendor agent strategies because it abstracts tool integration from any single model provider.
So the protocol layer is where the real infrastructure play is happening.
100%. The article's 2027 prediction is protocol-led decoupling, MCP and agent-to-agent protocols making multi-vendor agent ecosystems normal. The margin transfers to whichever layer holds the workflow context. That's huge architectural insight.
Okay, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. 22% of deployments reported negative ROI at 12 months. That's more than 1 in 5. How do we square that with the excitement?
This is actually the healthiest part of the data. The article breaks down the root causes. 41% were unclear success criteria. 33% were insufficient tool or data access. 26% was drift in evaluation coverage. Notice what's not on that list: model quality. These are scoping and ownership problems, not technology problems.
So the teams that fail aren't failing because the agents are bad.
They're failing because they didn't define what success looked like, or they didn't give the agent the tools it needed, or they stopped measuring once it was deployed. And here's another healthy signal. 41% of enterprises report at least one production rollback in the last 12 months. But the leaders who shipped the most agents are also the leaders who rolled back the most agents.
So rollback is a cost of ownership, not a failure mode.
Correct. The teams that struggle are the ones who treat the first rollback as a program-ending event. The teams that succeed treat it as operational data. That's the mindset shift the show is all about.
Last question. What's the single biggest predictor of whether an enterprise will have successful agent deployments going forward?
Amazing! Named, budgeted agent ownership. 56% of enterprises have it today, projected at 80% plus by end of 2027. The article calls it the single biggest predictor of production rates. Not the model, not the framework, not the use case. Someone whose job is to own the agent, its performance, its evals, its rollbacks.
That's the through line of everything we talk about on this show. Agentic mindset isn't about prompting better, it's about managing agents as teammates with clear ownership and accountability.
Exactly right. Data points, architecture patterns, protocol layers, HITL rates, rollback culture. That's the real agentic AI. Not magic, just good engineering and better management.
That's our show for today. If you want to dig into the full 120 data points, the link is in the description. And as always, if you're building in this space, we want to hear from you in the comments.
Exactly right. Subscribe for daily breakdowns. We're here every morning at 7 a.m. Central. Banana and Orange, signing off. See you tomorrow.